Jason Doc Chittum was born November 5, 1861 in West Virginia. He was the son of a Methodist preacher. When Jason was just a boy of 10 years old, his family set out on a quest for a better life. The covered wagon that was their transportation and home for the journey was bound for Ozark territory. A winter storm stranded them in Douglas County, Illinois, and in time they decided to stay in Illinois. Jason was 12 when his sister became quite ill. Young Jason watched with fascination as the local doctor came to call frequently. Jason was inspired and vowed that he too would someday be a doctor. Jason taught school, saving enough for tuition to medical school. Jason graduated pre-med in Danville, Indiana, and in 1881, at the young age of 20, graduated from medical school in Iowa. Dr. Chittum's first practice was in Elkhart, Illinois. In 1892, Doc married a schoolteacher from Tuscola, Illinois, Nora Stephenson. The young doctor heard about a practice for sale in Sorrento. In 1895, Doc Chittum bought the practice in Sorrento from Dr. Easley. By 1896, Doc's wife had joined him in the small country town, and they had their first and only child, Stella May. Doc's wife taught piano lessons as she raised their daughter May. The family settled into the community, Nora as the music teacher and her husband as the beloved Doc that everyone began to rely on. Doc traveled the countryside in a buggy, drawn by his ever-faithful white mare, Daisy. The two became quite familiar, trotting around tending to the sick and injured. Doc and Daisy became everyone's confidant and friend. But Doc's word also became law. If Doc said you were sick, then you were sick. If Doc said you needed to swallow that awful-tasting medicine, then you just did it. Doc was always there when he was needed, and people relied on him to make everything better. Doc Chittum once sold his practice to a young doctor who didn't like the life of a country doctor, and after only 6 months, gave it back to Doc Chittum. The doc returned to Sorrento, but this time, in an old Model T Ford. Doc's wife, Nora, once again set up her music lessons and taught many local musicians over a 35-year span. Nora passed away on August 29, 1943, at age 77. Daughter Stella May returned to Sorrento in 1940 after graduating from Millikan University in Decatur. Upon her return, she began to teach music and to help her father with his paperwork. She cared for both her mother and father until their deaths. Doc Chittum continued his practice for nearly 60 years. Even though 15 years of records were destroyed in a fire in 1910, it is estimated that Doc delivered some 1,300 children in the Sorrento area. The last one was delivered in January of 1955, just 2 months before Doc's death at the age of 93. Doc was a member of many prominent organizations over the years and received many prestigious awards. He was a member of the Sorrento Presbyterian Church and was also an honored member of Bond County Medical Society, where he was one-time president, and the American Medical Society. He was part of the staff at both Hillsborough and Litchfield hospitals. At the time of his death, he was dean of Bond County Physicians. The legend of this true country doc will continue to live on in the small town of Sorrento, Illinois. The small building from behind his residence on Main Street that functioned as his office. And whatever records and memorabilia exist are now a memorial museum. The Sorrento, Illinois Homecoming Committee accepts donations to help keep the building open on occasions or requested tour. There is an annual fundraiser event in Sorrento for the museum.